Good morning, students. So, in my first lecture, which we have started, and the name of the topic which we were discussing was William Somerset Maugham story, The Luncheon. And in my first lecture, we have an introduction with the writer, and we have also a brief introduction about the story, that what kind of experience, what kind of things are going to be discussed in this story. Now, in this lecture, we will discuss in detail the events which unfolds in the story. The story of Luncheon is the experience of the narrator. The narrator narrates his experience, reflect the experience of 20 years ago. He recollects the event which happened 20 years ago, and at that time he was living in Paris. He was not popular in his profession, so he was not a very famous writer at that time, as he is now today. But at that time he was not very famous, and he was living in a small apartment. Apartment means in a small flat. His earning was mediocre, very mean, and it was only enough to keep body and soul together. That he was only earning just to keep himself alive. He can't living lavishly or very comfortably. He was caught by an admirer, and he recalls that he was caught by an admirer, and particularly she was a woman of around 40 years of age. Her personality was imposing instead of charming. We can't say that the lady was charming, beautiful, but rather imposing. But the writer had agreed to give her lunch at a Foyot restaurant. But at anyhow, he was impressed, and he agreed to take her for a luncheon in a restaurant which is Foyot. Now, it was an expensive venue. It was an expensive hotel where French senators used to go for lunch. Just you can imagine that where the senators go for lunch, how costly the hotel was. The writer had only 80 gold francs in her pocket. He thought that a modest lunch would not cost more than 15 francs, and he would adjust the expense by cutting the coffee for the next 2 weeks. That he would adjust the amount by not drinking coffee for 2 weeks. So he was mentally prepared for that, at anyhow the luncheon would not cost more than 15 francs. The writer repented over the decision when he met the lady on the appointed day. So they fixed the venue and the time. It was around 12:30 p.m. they fixed, and when the lady came on that appointed day, he was rather sad. He repented over the decision. She was very talkative and gave herself the airs of being very young. Although she was 40, but she was imposing herself that she is young. Her personality was imposing rather than charming. The narrator was surprised of the prices when the waiter brought the menu book. You know the menu book? When you go in a hotel, the waiter comes with a book in which all the items are listed which are available in the hotel. So he was rather surprised when he looked at the prices of the things. He felt relaxed when the lady assured him that she never ate one thing more than one thing. So he felt very relaxed when the lady said that she does not eat more than one thing in lunch. She ordered for a Solomon. A Solomon is a very expensive fish. Solomon. While it was being cooked, she demanded a little caviar. Caviar is also a kind of fish. Caviar, Caviare, caviar. The writer ordered for himself the cheapest dish on the menu. And the writer has no choice but to adjust the money. He ordered the cheapest things which was on the menu, and it was the mutton chops, the mutton meat. When the question of drinking came, she expressed her desire to have white French wine that she prefer. When the writer asked, when the narrator asked what she would like to drink, she said that she only drink the white French wine. She expressed her desire to have white French wine. In her opinion, it is wonderful for the appetite. For digestion, it is very good. After that, the writer also ordered for her half a bottle of champagne. After drinking that French wine, white French wine, she also drank champagne. In between, they talked about art, literature, and music. She was eating and drinking, and they were discussing art, literature, and music. She also persuaded him not to take a heavy lunch. She suggested to the narrator that it is not a good habit to have a big lunch. During discussion, she expressed that it could be a great miss to love Paris without eating asparagus. Asparagus is also a dish. It is a vegetable which is quite expensive, which is quite rare. So she said that it would be quite a miss if she leaves Paris without eating asparagus. The idea of it filled the writer's heart with panic. With panic means fear. After giving so much orders and now she demanded asparagus, the writer felt panic, fear that whether he would be able to pay the bill when the waiter brings it, because he has only 80 francs in his pocket. It was not a question now how much money should be left. Now he was thinking that how money would be left. Earlier he was thinking that the modest lunch would not be more than 15 francs. Now the question was running in his mind was that whether he would be able to pay the bill, because now he doubts that maybe he falls short of some money. Then what he would do? It would be an embarrassing situation if he falls short of the amount. It would be quite embarrassing when that he would not be able to pay the bill. But for that also he had made up his mind that if this situation arises, then he would pretend that his pocket is picked. So he has also made up his mind so that he can save himself by embarrassment. At last, the lady finished the lunch by taking coffee and ice cream. After drinking all these things, they drink coffee and ice cream. The writer was agonized with her repetitive remarks. The lady was again repeating these statements that she never eat more than one thing in the lunch. It was a great relief for the writer that he was able to pay the bill. He felt relaxed when he paid the bill and left a modest tip to the waiter. So this is also a custom of English society that when they go for a lunch, for a dinner or anything, when they go to hotel, when they make the payment, they also give some tip to the waiter for its good services. The lady failed to understand the irony of the writer's remarks at the end of the story. The writer remarked at the end of the story that the writer remarked that he will eat nothing for dinner tonight because he has left no money to eat the dinner for tonight. When the writer said that when he was saying again and again that you should not eat heavy lunch, the writer remarked that he would not eat any kind of dinner tonight. She thought it a rather humorous joke. She was considering it a joke, but for the narrator it was a reality because he was left with no money. The narrator thinks that this was an inevitable situation. It is just like the interference of the supernatural elements, that only the God can help him in this situation because he was left with no money. There is no option but to accept the result. What has happened? It was due to his fault. He has invited the lady by his persuasive talk, by his request. He accepted it. Now he has to face the result. In other words, it was destined in his destiny, in his fate, to spend few hours in her company. There is no doubt in it that today she weighs not less than 21 stone. That when after some time, when he made the lady was very fat. She weighs around 120 kilograms. In this way, the writer hopes he had taken his revenge. Therefore, the story emphatically, so in conclusion, we can say that emphatically, but very forcefully, points out human frailty. I told you earlier the meaning of frailty. Frailty means weakness, and particularly in this story, the writer points out the frailty, the weakness between man and woman relationship. It also reflects upon the persuasive nature of women. They are so imposing that no man on earth can deny them. In present times, the problem has much more aggravated. Aggravated means has become more increased to a large extent. In many cases, the man feel insecure in their presence. But simply it is the charm of women which made most of the men wild, because most of the men are fascinated, attracted towards them due to their charm, due to their beauty. The history is full of such events where woman is the center of all confrontation, of all quarrel. Many battles have been fought over them to obtain them. So this is the story, Luncheon. I think that you also feel just like the emotions, the experience which the narrator has described in the story. And I think the story gives us a moral lesson that we should treat man and woman on equal status. We should not give them weightage, neither to man or not to woman, on just of their pleasing or charming personality, but a person should be judged on his abilities and qualities, not rather than on appearance, but in reality, what he is and what he deserves. I think you will be cautious, you will be caring, you will take this experience which is narrated by the writer seriously in your life. Thank you.